Hello, dear friends. We're sincerely happy to greet you again. Today we will have a conversation with the honored Igor Mikhailovich Danilov.
Greetings.
Igor Mikhailovich, in our videos, we discussed that people's attention is actually diverted from the main problem which the entire humanity faces nowadays. This problem is related to climate change on the planet, and it is all being done so that people look in any direction except around them and deep in the interior of our planet. However, the Cerberus forces us to pay attention to itself. As of today, in addition to severe earthquakes, we have a new symptom, an unprecedented activity of volcanoes. And of course, people are very much concerned and ask the following question: what is actually happening there, deep in the planet's interior? How does global warming, which all of us are fighting so actively, affect the movement of magma inside? Certainly, there are so many inconvenient questions, inconvenient facts and information of this kind that their number is growing like mushrooms after rain, and all of these questions are addressed to scientists. In addition, of course, a lot of questions are now coming to participants of the Creative Society movement, especially on the eve of the forum Global Crisis, There Is a Way Out, when we are at a very important stage, at the active phase of informing about the forum Global Crisis, There Is a Way Out. Certainly, the following questions come in response. It is definitely good to know the truth, but it won't stop the rise of magma. You say that there is a way out, but have we already learned to extinguish volcanoes? Or how to put a volcano to sleep? How to prevent an earthquake? Do you have a recipe? What can we do? Talk to the earth and ask it not to collapse?
You know, when people begin to speculate about such categories, and with such sarcasm, I would even say, not even with irony, it looks like we sort of say something and they contradict us. Is this what is happening?
Although they say you're voicing the truth.
But we are actually…
But what can we do about that?
Right, they feel the truth.
Yes, sure.
But immediately, this very consumeristic servility forces them to discuss topics which they absolutely do not understand.
Right.
As for me, I don't discuss how to make a cake or how to cook borscht. I don't know. I really don't know how. I haven't cooked such things. I don't know how to do it. But I know that other people do it. While those people discuss how to stop volcanoes or earthquakes. After all, it's impossible. But I have a question. Who told you that it's impossible? Friends, I mean those who argue this way. Have you actually studied this subject? Just imagine, there are people, a lot of people who spent at least 26 years on this, who thoroughly studied it all, and pardon me, not from a narrow perspective, or from one specialization, as it is done in our entire scientific community, which is divided. In our science, everyone does their own thing. If a person studies a volcano, then he studies solely earthquakes. Another person, when studying volcanoes, studies the chemical composition of magma, you see? And that's all. I would say these are not representatives of the scientific community, but statisticians and accountants who literally count and examine what they see, like lab assistants do. They don't see anything beyond that and won't be able to see it. Yet there are a lot of people who study these issues based on the widest possible range of incoming information. I mean, not only volcanoes, but people also linked everything to climate change, changes in the atmosphere, the magnetic field, the ocean, and many other factors. And that's when a holistic overall picture began to form for them. And I'll tell you the following: yes, as of today we understand what needs to be done, but in order for us to do it effectively and, let's say, not to have consequences, we must first stop the external impact which definitely already exists. Many people will certainly ask, and they have asked a question, including those who consider themselves scientists: how is it, what kind of external impact can there be on our planet's core? From outer space, we actually don't detect such an impact. But what are you going to detect it with? Tell me, please. A simple question, right? It's not a piece of cake on your plate. that you see and can taste is a completely different physics, is the beyond quantum level, it's not even quantum physics. Sorry friends, but to this day you don't even know what quantum physics is. And why don't they know? Because they are afraid to look beyond. So, watch the forum. Global crisis, there is a way out. There will be a lot of interesting information there, and there will be answers to these questions too. Therefore, before criticizing anyone, I would say, look in the mirror and answer honestly, what do you know about this subject? The subject that you are trying to philosophize about. Can we do that? I will say, yes, we can. Yes, we know how to do that. They will say, why don't you do it? Because there are conditions which we need to observe in order to really restore order in this world. I'll put it simply, and this is no joke. In the creative society, there won't be a single uncontrolled earthquake, a destructive one, of the kind that is happening now. Why? Because we can prevent it all. Yes, friends, there is prevention, just like prevention of volcanic eruptions. As of today, just for you to understand, nearly all supervolcanoes are, let's say, like a loaded and cocked gun, and at any moment they can shoot and terminate the existence of all of us. Everyone understands this. Excuse me, even scientists do not deny it. Let's take the most famous American supervolcano, Yellowstone. It is very popular and everyone knows about it. Yes, it is almost on the threshold of activation. This is trouble for everyone, for the whole world. Why? Because if this supervolcano becomes active, it means others will also follow. This will be discussed at the forum as well, so watch it. Why would we tell you a lot of interesting things in advance, right? Well, it's just that sometimes some people start philosophizing just like about the creative society. They say that someone is trying to deceive someone else. Friends recently sent me a comment from a person who sort of criticizes the creative society. Everything you say is not true. And he positions himself as a Muslim. He says that we need to follow the Prophet and listen to Allah. Allah will do everything while we are telling lies, trying to organize something. Yet, I have a question for that person. You call yourself a Muslim, but what kind of Muslim are you? Put your hand on your heart and answer to Allah. What kind of Muslim are you? If the creative society is nothing but the constitution of the Prophet himself, it is what you Muslims should have done a very, very long time ago. But instead, you build radical Islam. Right after, the Prophet himself went home, and afterwards you persecuted his entire family. Instead of doing what the whole world is now doing. It turns out that some people who call themselves Muslims go against the Prophet himself. They say everything is done by the will of Allah. If Allah wills, there will be everything. The will of Allah was demonstrated to all of us, through the best of people, through the Prophet Muhammad, through the Prophet who brought you the Quran. And the Prophet himself said that it's the will of Allah. Or, is the word of the Prophet not the law for you? Well, if the word of the Prophet is not the law for you, then our words all the more are not, and we have nothing to discuss with such people. This is really so. This also applies to Christians as well as to many other religions. After all the prophets who came brought this knowledge. Didn't Jesus Christ talk about the creative society? He did. He said what the world should be like. 2000 years have passed, and Christians have killed a lot of people. Instead of building the world Jesus Christ bequeathed, maybe it's enough to hide behind God and religions. Maybe we should actually build what the prophets bequeathed to us. We have no other way out, friends. Carefully watch the forum. Global crisis, there is a way out. Do it carefully, and you will understand that at this forum, it has already been scientifically substantiated and proven from all sides It has been explained in the best possible way that we have very little time left, and the prophets warned about our times. After all, it's really true. They knew what would take place nowadays, and they spoke about these times. And now, to hide behind God and say that everything is done by God's will, yes, everything is done by God's will, but He voiced His will back then. And now you can no longer say that the creative society is not by God's will, it is by His will. And it was said through the prophets, it's just that the time has come. And we know that it was supposed to start to be built precisely in these times. Jesus Christ spoke about this. The best of people, the Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet of Allah himself, spoke about it. He said what you would do to Islam, what you would do to the Quran, but he also said what you could do at the end of times. If you are true followers of the Prophet Muhammad, if you really love Allah, He believed in you. The question is, do you believe in Him? As for criticizing the creative society today, excuse me, I'll put it honestly, only a sociopath or a complete idiot can do that. Because this is the only, indeed, the only all people's movement in the entire history of humanity. This is the only platform where people can create the world everyone dreams of. This is the only platform, there is no other way to say it, that really unites all people, and together, solely together, can we save our world. If someone has doubts and says that we are over-dramatizing, that we are exaggerating, that we are substituting facts or something else, please study the issue. After all, we offer those same sources. We offer to study everything we have studied, because when we say something, we rely on the facts that we take solely from open sources. The information which, let's say, has been made public, and not those which we have studied ourselves. Well, let's put it this way. Some exclusive information of ours will also be presented at the forum. It's just that scientists didn't and couldn't know about that. But we've been working on it for a long time, and we will show and tell you this story, although many scientists have come across what we are going to talk about. They simply turned a blind eye and ignored it. Why? Because it changed their worldview, and they said that such a thing cannot exist. However, we didn't ignore it, we studied it. And we will tell you about that as well. Therefore, watch the forum. I do understand that some people are unhappy with the creative society, because there will be no power of one person over another in it. Whereas all their lives, living in this consumerist format, they have dreamed of exalting themselves above others. Recall the words of Jesus Christ, what He said about such people, and think, meanwhile human life is very short in this world, despite the enormous potential that is embedded in us. Enormous potential is really embedded in us. Every person living today can live up to 1500 years, and this is the norm. It is inherent in everyone. But for that, certain conditions should be created, and the paradox is that today we know what conditions are needed, and it is already quite clear what needs to be done and how. A lot of experiments have been conducted, and already even on animals. Excuse me, when very old animals, mice, this is also a fact. Those were really mice. They were made 80% younger. In other words, if a mouse is 100 years old, in our human years, it becomes 20 years old. It gets younger, it continues to produce offspring, it lives and it is happy. Or is this science fiction? Some people will say, this cannot be true. Friends, before you say that it cannot be true, don't be lazy. Gather information, study the issue. Go to people who are doing this, talk to them, look. And everything will fall into place. The same is true for FFGs, right? We talked about FFGs God knows when. Moreover, we know that they have nearly always existed. And we also know how they are designed. We have seen them more than once, I'll put it carefully. However, we were told that this could not be true. But thank God those people have calmed down now. Why? Because FFGs started to be shown officially. And I want to ask people, can you not understand something until they show it to you on TV? Or tell you about it officially? Do you get information solely from television? And solely from those who control you? Is that how it works? Doesn't that worry you? But what about taking an interest for yourselves? Studying and approaching an issue you don't understand. Isn't that interesting? Just look how the world is divided into those who do not want to do anything, while they eagerly criticize others. And in such a way, when you feel that you are a fool, you have called someone a fool, and you sort of become smarter. Well, isn't that funny to you, friends? Isn't it a shame to turn yourself, a human being, into a banal animal, into a simple, elementary idiot? You're a human being after all. Be proud of it and evolve. In general, I would say that nowadays we have lost the understanding of what we are here for and how we should live. Basically, we graduated from secondary school, from university, and that's it. We went to work, and thereafter everything is meaningless and monotonous.
Everything is programmed.
It's actually frightening. Do you know that a human being has been created for lifelong learning, lifelong development, not just for watching TV series and guessing what is someone going to say there, or to watch some bloggers who will tell you, today I fried some pastries, and tomorrow I want to boil potatoes, right? Well, of course, this is serious, important information, very important. Isn't this offensive for you? People, your neurons are suffering. Your brain is not working because in order for it to work normally, it needs a huge flow of information, new information. Then these connections are formed between neurons. Do you know what their function is? No, not memory. Their function is to create new pictures in your head. New information should be constantly coming into your head. You should constantly evolve. If a person doesn't evolve, if he doesn't constantly study something new, he begins to degrade. It's a law of nature. If we do not grow, we wither. That is basically the whole essence of human existence. As soon as we stop our learning, we cease to exist. Then through inertia, we roll down the mountain. This is unacceptable. Why? Because human beings are arranged in a way fractally similar to representatives of the spiritual world. And just for you to know, there is constant development. There is no end to development. Simply no end, not even in eternity. A human is obliged to evolve in this world as well. From the moment we first master elementary skills, we must improve. That's when it will be right. Some people will say, when can I do that? I'm busy after all. That's why the creative society is needed, so that everyone would have time for their own development, so that life would be beautiful and interesting, and not in order to be content with what you have. Yes, it is possible to live like that too. But how are we different from pigs in this case? Tell me. We aren't at all, but we are human beings, and this is very important. There are a lot of opportunities now. These are either the end times or the times of beginning. It all depends on our choice. And technologies are now starting to enter our lives. We are only approaching the stage where science will really begin to open up tremendous opportunities for us. Let's take a neural network. After all, it gives tremendous opportunities. And let's look at how to use them in both the consumerist and the creative format. After all, in the consumerist format, a neural network will leave you jobless and turn you into real slaves. Why? Just because instead of you, it will earn money for one owner. And what about you? Meanwhile, you, my friends, will be forced to look for new jobs. Why? Because it's unprofitable to pay you. You are humans. You may disagree with something. You cannot work pardon me, 24/7. You need to rest, whereas a neural network doesn't. Robots don't sweat. Yes, sometimes they break down, but it's much cheaper to repair them than a human. Though I will say that's the way it should be, and it's a very good thing, but in the creative society, where machines should do all the hard work, all the tedious work should be done by those very neural networks. A human being should be free. However good those neural networks may be, they will not be able to perform the main function, that of a human being. Do you know why? Because in fact, a neural network, no matter how smart it is a plagiarist. Yes, just like many of our scientists today, unfortunately. How is that manifested? I'll put it simply. A neural network can process information 1 billion times faster than a human. It is able to gather it from all sources and learn anything. Everything a human does except one thing. It cannot create. Whereas a human being possesses this divine function. A human can make genuine discoveries, while a neural network can only describe and collect them and complicate what is simple. You see, a human being is indispensable. He is necessary for further development, but we also need the conditions for a human to develop properly. Let's take a simple example, a neural network and its application. All of us studied, let's say, at school. For instance, depending on the class, there are 20 to 30 students and one teacher. Of course, teachers change depending on the subject. But even if one teacher teaches his subject to 20 people, can he or she teach us anything? Yes, they can teach us elementary stuff, but after that, we have to develop on our own. In addition, we are sitting in a class and listening to a teacher. If we want to answer, we have to raise our hand. How long are we going to continue being slaves? After all, this is real slavery. Since childhood, children are like in the army. Some will say it's discipline and so on. Yes, discipline is instilled through awareness of this process, but not through compulsion. Yet can a human who is like a soldier in the barracks, sitting before his sergeant, actually hang on his words and grasp what he is talking about? Don't be silly. How many of you have delved deeply into the subjects you have been taught? I'm addressing adults. What do you use today? Out of all the knowledge those teachers taught you at school, that's the answer. Do you remember many poems? Do you remember a lot of what you've read and learned? Are you familiar with physics, chemistry, and so on? Do you know why? Because there was no individual approach to everyone. I'll put it simpler. Which of you has really become a genius? Certainly, everyone thinks of himself as a genius, but what about in reality? Did you prove yourself as Einstein, Newton? Right, okay. We won't take those. But let's say Omar Khayyam and many other scientists of a seriously profound level, whose discoveries were later altered, plagiarized, and stolen by others, just like a neural network does. But I will say the following: every one of you should have really become a genius. Why? Any human being is a genius. There are no people who wouldn't be geniuses. There simply aren't. Assuming, of course, that a person is healthy, I mean, mentally, first and foremost, and so on. Genius, friends, just for you to understand, is like a fish in a lake. Until you catch it and pull it out, you don't even know if it is there or not. But I'll put it this way, there's genius in everyone. And so a neural network will be able to teach every child individually. In a free format, it means that a child can study whenever he wants, whenever it is comfortable for him. And that's where the neural network is supposed to control and monitor the child. In this process, it should encourage the child to become interested in exploring physics. In other words, yes, the child should be under the supervision of his teacher 24 hours a day. Today, this can be done, but it's a little bit difficult. Let's say with a minor development and modernization of even what we have now, it can be done easily. I mean, in the creative society. I'll put it simpler, not even in the creative society, but even in the transitional period. We can already launch every child's learning process thanks to neural networks. And then every child will develop his or her genius, because it is the neural network that will find it. There are numerous different examples of how really outstanding teachers found talents in people and developed them. Neural networks can absorb this experience, the entire experience, and become the best educators. Then our children will be geniuses, or at least our grandchildren. After all, it's not complicated, and we can do it. Excuse me, there is no contradiction here, and each of you understands that and agrees. And it's not just about the sphere of teaching. A neural network can prove itself in so many professions today, and much better than a human. So ultimately we should shift all our routine work onto robots, onto neural networks, while people themselves should really enjoy life and evolve. Is that a bad thing?
What a beautiful world. This is wonderful information. We couldn't even imagine how beautiful a world could be with 8 billion geniuses living in it.
Why 8? Why not 50 billion? It is in the consumerist format that we have 8 billion people and it is claimed that it's too many, while in the creative society even 50 billion won't be enough, because the prospects that are opening up before humankind require a huge number of people. As of today, it is actually a problem for us to fly to the moon, not to mention Mars. That very hypothesis, which will be voiced at the forum, Global Crisis, There is a Way Out, opens up such opportunities and such horizons for smart people that even going to another galaxy is like visiting a neighbor. There are still a lot of interesting discoveries ahead, and we actually face a huge choice right now. This is a fact. And what we as humanity choose is what will happen. I now address all people of faith. Will we choose what the prophets commanded us, or will we choose the future of Satan? It is our choice. Or simply put, will we create what the prophets wanted to create here? Or will we literally throw this world of ours into hell? It's all in your hands, friends. But still, I wish there was an Eden here, right?
I wish that so much.
I wish there was the Medina Charter all over the world, and that we all live by the commandments of the great prophets, and just love one another, right?
It's time to turn our pace into a run in order to build the creative society.
That's right, because everything depends on all of us. I'll put it this way, only uninformed people separate us from our beautiful and happy future. So, everything is in our hands, friends. Let's just love each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Igor Mikhailovich.
Thank you, friends. Peace be with you and the creative society.